evening and thanks for joining us. Steady progress is being made on Thunder Bay's new $1.2 billion correctional complex.
Ontario Solicitor General is happy with how the work is moving along and says the province is still eyeing a late 2026 completion. Vasilios Bellos is following this story and joins us live in studio with the details. Vasilios?
Thanks, Riley. The new 345-bed facility will replace both the jail and correctional center. Both of those facilities have been struggling with overcrowding, with the new building expected to alleviate the stress on both staff and inmates. The massive $1.2 billion project along Highway 61 has been progressing well this summer. A good chunk of the metal framework is up on the new Thunder Bay Correctional Complex. The facility is still on track to be completed by the end of 2026, which would alleviate stress on an overcrowded prison system in our city. The new facility would replace both the district jail and the correctional center. Ontario Solicitor General Michael Kersner says once completed, the new complex will be a significant improvement.
It is a state-of-the-art facility that is excellent for our staff, for our great correctional officers and the support staff to work in. And the new facility, this 345-bed facility, will again represent the best in technology, the best in construction.
The complex was first proposed by the previous Liberal government, but got the green light from the Conservatives after they took office in 2018. The big contract to build and maintain the 450,000 square foot facility was awarded to Ellis Don Corporation in April of last year. Kersner says the new facility will ensure there is space in Thunder Bay to house those who aren't safe to have on the streets.
We want to make sure that when we have people on the streets who are causing havoc, who are repeat and violent offenders, who don't believe we have a right to live safely in our communities, that they're where they belong, and that's behind bars.
Kersner says he hopes to make the trip to Thunder Bay soon to see the progress on the facility firsthand. Vasilios Bellos, TVT News.
A 20-year-old Long Lac man has been charged with aggravated assault in connection with an incident that left a 21-year-old man in hospital with serious injuries. According to Greenstone OPP, police and EMS responded to the incident late last night and located the victim at a residence on Long Lac Centennial Drive. The investigation continues.
Thunder Bay woman has been charged by OPP following a head-on collision last Thursday between an SUV and a transport. It happened on Highway 102 just west of Maple Ward Road, and a terrifying dash cam video of the crash has now been posted on Facebook. The footage shows the SUV veer into the oncoming lane. The transport driver attempts to avoid the crash, but the corners of the two vehicles make contact and the rig crashes into the ditch. The two people in the transport weren't hurt. The 79-year-old woman driving the SUV was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. OPP confirmed today that she's been charged with careless driving. The section of Highway 102 was closed for around 2 hours that evening while police investigated the circumstances of the collision.
Thunder Bay City Council is being asked to adopt the city's new strategic plan tonight. It'll help shape future council decisions through 3 key pillars the city feels are most important to Thunder Bay. The 3 pillars each have their own unique objectives. The first focuses on improving relationships with the Indigenous community, while the second looks at safety and well-being, including crime prevention. The third is titled Prosperity and Sustainability and prioritizes urban density and creating a supportive business environment. City Director Tracy Smith says a survey will come out later this month, asking the community and staff how they feel these goals can be met.
What specific steps they think that the city can be taking to achieve the objectives that are outlined in the strategic plan. We will then have working sessions with the various leads who would be responsible for implementing the bulk of the actions. And it's at that point that specific metrics will be developed, timelines, leads.
The plan's release comes after the 2022 Citizen Satisfaction Survey showed the lowest results for quality of life since tracking began in 2009. Work is well underway on over $4 million worth of upgrades at Fort William Stadium.
City officials say they are still on schedule to hit their original deadline, with the new track and turf just weeks away from being installed.
Fort William Stadium looks a lot different than it did just 1 year ago.
as construction is well underway on the rehabilitation project, which will cost anywhere from $4.1 to $4.5 million once completed. The work will renew the track and turf at the stadium, and it also includes a brand new scoreboard. City Construction Services Supervisor Kelvin Jankowski said they just finished the drainage and fine grading on the turf side and are almost ready to start the next steps.
Carpel will be in next week, and they'll be working around the clock, or 7 days a week at least, probably under the lights as well, to start laying the turf. And then shortly after the turf team comes in, the track team will start prepping and laying the track. So we're still on track to get this complete early September for the users.
The new scoreboard is also on site, stored in Delaney Arena, and Jankowski says they just need to finish the formwork for the foundation, with pouring of concrete planned in the next week or two, and then they have to let it cure before they start putting the sign together. Jankowski says these renewals are going to do wonders for the stadium, especially with top-level modern-day equipment being added.
The scoreboard is going to be very impressive. It's going to have cameras and things of that nature for replays and for video. Everything's going to be LED, so that's going to be similar to the upgrade we did a few years ago at the Gardens. We'll have modern scoreboards, and as well the brains of the operation will be updated as well inside the booth.
Jankowski says the project has gone smoothly to this point and is very optimistic the stadium will be completed on schedule in time for the start of the high school football season in September.
For the second time in 3 years, the Muskeg Express train ride at Centennial Park has gone off the tracks after a new wheel wasn't properly milled. The City of Thunder Bay announced that an issue with the new wheel recently installed on the train led to a derailment last Thursday, but that no one was injured. City Park Supervisor Warner Schwarz said that unlike a similar derailment in 2021, the latest problem was immediately traced to the new wheel, as it wasn't milled to the right angle for the track. He says they've switched it out to an older one, but now have to wait for the technical standards and safety authorities' approval, which could take 1 to 3 weeks. Schwarz said they're reasonably confident this is an isolated situation, and once back on the tracks, the train will function normally. The first steps have begun into the federal impact assessment process for the Northern Road Link.
Public information sessions were recently held in Thunder Bay and Greenstone. Lee Noonan attended the Thunder Bay meeting and has this report.
The federal impact assessment will look at potential environmental, social, and economic impacts of the Northern Road Link, as well as possible impacts on Indigenous rights, and gauge whether the project is in the public interest. Eli Weisbrot, Impact Assessment Agency Projects Manager, led a roundtable discussion.
We'd love to hear feedback from the public and stakeholders on what exactly, in relation to the local and regional environments, is there and what the proponents should be focusing on.
The Northern Road Link would connect the proposed Martin Falls Access Road to the proposed Webequay Supply Road. Some at the meeting questioned the decision to separately assess each of the 3 proposals. Weisbrot said the process is driven by the proponents and the individual purposes of each project.
It was proposed that way, so we are, they're designed independently. Northern Road Link projects, it does connect the 2 projects.
Each of the 3 roads is undergoing its own assessment, while a broader Ring of Fire regional assessment is apparently in the works. Another concern raised at the session was whether there was enough time allotted for consultation.
This is going to be a long process because there are so many different people involved, and I believe, though, that its time has come, and I also believe that with the proper guidance and cooperation, we can make this happen. I think it's a good thing for Northern Ontario, but it has to be done right.
At a press conference in Manitoba earlier in the week, the Premier said a federal assessment was a waste of time and taxpayer money.
We have to make sure we get those critical minerals out of the ground as quickly as possible, partnering up with our Indigenous communities. We have 2 great partners there, but there's no reason that what frustrates people is duplication of government. So the federal government has stepped in and said, well, we have to do an environmental assessment on top of your environmental assessment.
The public is currently being asked for input on the assessment itself, including what information should be collected and how to best conduct consultations. Comments can be submitted up until July 21st through the Impact Assessment Agency of Canada website. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Port Authority will be looking for its next leader. Its current CEO, Tim Heaney, has announced his retirement.
Heaney has served in the role for nearly 20 years and says the port is in great shape for his successor. Jonathan Wilson reports.
Tim Heaney has been with the Port of Thunder Bay for over 30 years, but took on the role as CEO back in May of 2004. During his tenure, Heaney played a significant role in establishing Kiefer Terminal as a major transportation hub for Western Canada and developing key infrastructure that ensured the efficient and effective movement of cargo. Heaney is now reflecting on his time at the helm and says he's proud of several accomplishments over the years.
The most memorable things to me were the formation of a strategic plan for the port, basically to increase and diversify marine cargo. I think we made some measurable differences there. I mean, some of the newest cargoes like the fertilizer and our repeat pipe shipments that'll be coming in starting this month, something that'll last for years to come. So kind of proud of those things, and some of the infrastructure investments like the harbor crane. Buying that in California was an adventure I'll always remember.
Heaney intends to retire at the end of September and will help the board with selecting his successor. He says the port is in great shape for the next leader.
We have some great infrastructure, well improved over the years, and we've got some new cargoes and some regular customers now, so I think it's got a bright future.
The search for a new CEO has already begun and will be a thorough process. Heaney hopes everything will be wrapped up by the end of September so he can leave knowing the port is in good hands. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Marina Park was packed with beer lovers this past weekend for the annual Brew Ha Festival.
The event gave attendees the opportunity to reconnect with friends while supporting local and regional breweries. Jessica Clement reports.
This weekend's weather was perfect for the hundreds of residents who made their way down to the waterfront to sample a wide selection of craft beers, coolers, and ciders for the Brew Ha Festival. In addition to the beer companies, the event also featured 10 food vendors, a marketplace, a number of games, and a string of live musicians ranging from jazz and blues to country and rock. The festival was last held back in 2021, and spirits were high as attendees were able to reconnect with friends and colleagues, while also enjoying the many flavors offered by local and regional businesses. And it was all for a great cause, as a portion of the proceeds will be going towards Our Kids Count. We spoke to some patrons who were excited to be back together again after 2 years.
Great to see everyone together, especially after COVID and all those times. It's remarkable to see the interaction and the community together. There's no words to express it.
It's awesome, like the live music in the background and everyone walking around. It's a very good environment. It's the perfect setting for it. The marina, the beautiful waterfront.
Organizers expected up to 3,000 people over the weekend, and Chamber of Commerce President Charla Robinson says the turnout didn't disappoint.
The weather's cooperated, so we've had a lot of folks that have sort of just decided to come today or last night, and we're really excited about the great turnout. It's really great to see folks that I haven't seen for a number of years, all coming together and just enjoying being together. So it's a really nice feeling.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, Fiona, it looks like the Brew Ha was able to miss most of the rain on the weekend, but it seems like that rain is kind of sticking around the region right now.
Yes, I'm going to show you when I hit the play, you can see little bits of rain popping up all over the place. I kind of compared this to buckshot because it's hit and miss where it has actually been hitting. And what we found today in the city of Thunder Bay, we had a low of 11, a high of 19, mostly cloudy, but we did have that brief afternoon shower, and you might have missed it if you were indoors or in the wrong part of the city, but there was rain late in the afternoon around 4 o'clock-ish here in the city of Thunder Bay. To the west, they had a lot more cloud, but they too had brief showers during the late morning, early afternoon, and temperatures in Fort Frances are currently topped out at 19, Kenora matching that, but other areas quite a bit cooler. Dryden is only at 14 at this hour, 16 in Red Lake. They're under mostly cloudy conditions. They too had a couple of brief showers during the day. Eastward into Armstrong, we're at 17, and down into Sault Ste. Marie, mostly cloudy at 16. Marathon, quite a bit chillier at 11. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we are going to see more clearing as we drop down to a low of 12. Winds will be from the northwest 9 to 22 kilometers per hour. And as we head into Tuesday, it's looking beautiful. Just a nice, warm, dry, maybe a degree or so below seasonal for some conditions, but add in the humidex and it feels very seasonal, very sunny, just a beautiful day in much of the region. Areas further east still dealing with the last of the rain. Unfortunately, speaking of rain, there's another system that is going to be pushing in for late on Wednesday, and I'll have more details on that later on in the news hour.
Thanks, Fiona. A second person has died, a firefighter battling wildfires. We'll have those details and more when we return.
We do have a lot of windy conditions here and there, which is definitely, feeding fires as well.